Okay, today we're going to talk about why factoring is important and the reason we actually teach it. So, if you take a look at the problem that's already up there, you got a quadratic there, and it's set equal to 0. So, what our goal in this topic is going to be to find a value in which we can put in for x, in which we'll make this in this, whatever, we can put one number in there to make this whole equation equal to 0. So we want 0 equals 0 ideally. So that's what we're trying to do. Now, if you're real slick, you could just go ahead and tell me what the numbers are, but more than likely that's not the case. So what we use is a method of manipulating just this side, just this one side over here. Here, a little Star Wars coming up. So just this side right here, if we could change this into something else, right? Something that might look better, we might be able to solve this and find what's equal to 0 there. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually manipulate the way it looks using factoring, okay? And the method that I'm going to teach you guys in class is called the big X method. Okay, so the big X method. Now you may have learned it different, but this method works every single time. So what we're going to do, let's just focus on this left-hand side of the equation. Okay, so we have this 2x squared plus x minus 15. And what we're going to do, the first step, so the first step is you're going to make a big X. Okay. Then you're going to take the first number, right? You're going to take this first number right here, and you're going to multiply it by this last number right here, and that's going to go in the top. Okay, so here we go. We got 2 times negative 15. That's a negative. It's going to give you a negative 30. So that goes right here at the top. Okay. Now, this middle number is going to go in the bottom. So this middle number, which I'm talking about right here, that's going to be a 1, right? That's going to go right there in the bottom. So we're going to have a 1 in the bottom. And that's how it always goes. So first times last goes up top, and middle number in the bottom right there. Now you got to play a game. You got to say, this is the fun part of it all. You got to say, what multiplies to 30 but adds to 1? Okay? So it needs to add this way but multiply this way. Okay, so it needs to multiply to negative 30 but add to 1. Well, if you think about it, you might start listing the numbers. What, you got 1 and 30, that ain't going to work. You got 2 and 15, that ain't going to work. You got 3 and 10, that ain't going to work. How about 6 and 5? That should work, right? So if we use 6 and 5, we got 6 and 5. Now one of these are going to have to be negative because I have a negative 30. So I want to get them to add to a positive 1. So I'm going to make the 5 negative and the 6 positive. So 6 times negative 5 is negative 30. That works. And 6 plus negative 5 is going to give you 1. So it works. So now you figured this out. That was the hard part. And now here comes the easy part. So now what you're going to do is you're going to grab that leading number. You know what I mean? This number. Well, here, we'll use this. You're going to grab this number right here, okay? And you're going to divide that both here and here, okay? So here we go. I'm going to take this 2, I'm going to divide it here, I'm going to divide it here, okay? So now what do I have? I have this guy right here, that's one fraction, and then I have this guy right here, that's the other fraction. I'm going to write them over here for you. 6 over 2 and negative 5 over 2. Okay, so your next step is going to require you to actually reduce that fraction, okay? So what do I mean by reduce that fraction? I mean that you're going to, let me get rid of that line. I don't like that line there. That's okay, we're going to leave it. Okay, what I mean by reducing that fraction is you're going to actually break that down, okay? So 6 over 2 is equal to what? It's equal to 3 over 1. And negative 5 over 2, that actually doesn't break down. So here's your two final pieces. You got this piece right here, that's 1, and here's the other piece. So I'm going to rewrite them yet again right down below. So you have 3 over 1, you have negative 5 over 2. Okay, now this part right here is what we call bottoms up. So I'm going to write that right here. This is called bottoms up. Okay? So the way this works is you're going to put a variable in which is in the problem, the x. You're going to put that on the bottom. Okay? And then you're going to go bring them up to the top. Bring them up to the top. Okay, so what are you going to have? Well, let's see. When you're done with that, let me give myself just a little more room. Okay, I got a little more room there. Now, so that 1x came up to the top. So you have an x, or just a 1x, whatever, plus 3. That's one solution. Now, your other piece, this has a 2x on the bottom, so it's going to be a 2x minus 5. And that's your other piece. So what did you do? Well, that means that this, right? Here, let's get back to the lightsaber. Star Wars coming out. We got this expression right here. These two butt cheeks is what I like to call them, okay, are equal to this expression right here. They're actually equal, okay? So that was the factoring. That's why we factored. Well, that's how we factor. Let's talk about why. This is why. So now, the advantage of factoring, why we did it in the first place, is because we could take a look at this now and say, all right, why did I want to do that? Well, if I think about it, let me see if I can give myself some more room. Okay, well, there we go. Sorry if that made you dizzy. Okay, the advantage of this form versus the original form is that I can say, okay, this is a thing and this is a thing. And if I can make one of these things 0, then this whole side of the equation is 0. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it equal. So x plus 3 equals 0. That's one piece. And here's the other piece. 2x minus 5 equals 0. Well, that's an easy equation to solve. X equals negative 3. And now this would be 2x equals 5, which means x equals 5 halves. Okay, so what do we have here? We have x equals 3, and we have, or x equals negative 3, and we have x equals 5 halves. So if you were to put negative 3 back into this equation right here, if you were to put it back in, oops, sorry, hold on, undo, no, alright, if you were to put it back in there, okay, it would make this whole thing equal to 0, in which the whole thing would be 0. Or if you were to take the 5 halves and put it in here, then this would be 0 and the whole thing would be 0. So essentially you found the two values in which will make this equation true. It's going to be right here and right here. So your solution would be negative 3, 5 halves. Not easy numbers to guess right off the bat. So those are the two numbers that would work. Okay? So not too bad, I hope. Okay? Hopefully you understand a little more why we do it and how. So that's the big X method is why, or how, and why is that we can actually find solutions to these equations. Okay? A little bit of a lengthy video, but it should help you out with just about all of the topics in this section. So I'll put it up on the YouTube for you. Good luck.